industry is hot topic this year. Randy Brouckman, CEO of EdgeConnects, joins me to discuss this further. Thank you for joining me today, and welcome to Monaco.
Thank you.
Talk me through the evolution of context and cloud at the edge.
Very good. As I mentioned in my keynote speech earlier today, I've seen three waves of the edge just in the last 4 or 5 years. If I think about wave one, it was really bringing content closer to the consumer. And we actually did that in our first 23 data centers that we had to deliver in 24 months. And what was interesting when we did that, we saw rebuffering drop by 25%, abandonment eliminate by 86%, and just the amount of content being consumed growing exponentially. Call that wave one. What we saw then emerge in the kind of 2015-ish time frame, 14, 15, 16, was what I call wave two. And it was really bringing the cloud closer to the enterprise. So if wave one was bringing content closer to consumer, wave two was bringing the cloud closer to the enterprise. And there you saw on-ramps to the clouds, you saw SDN type fabrics being deployed, and you saw predictability in latency and predictability in cost enter the equation in all markets. And so I think that helps accelerate the migration to the cloud. Wave three, we're seeing right now. And in wave three, we see a couple of flavors of. One you mentioned in your question, we're starting to see instances of the cloud that need to be at the edge. And gaming is a great example of an instance of a cloud that needs to be at the edge. Now what's fascinating about that instance is that's the same core technology that you need for machine learning, for AI processing. So you end up with this big, power dense, super capable edge cloud itself deployed. So we're seeing that in wave three. We're starting to see cloud-enabled services enter wave three. We've done our initial autonomous vehicle trial where one of our edge data centers was required just due to the amount of information coming off the cars. And we're starting to see an increase in IoT type applications. Again, fostered by the cloud itself and the on-ramps that were put there in wave two.
What was the rationale behind the autonomous cars?
So I think if I look at the rationale, the amount of data that was being collected on the car and the amount of information being collected on the car needed to be offloaded regularly. And if you think about it, all these autonomous vehicles are out there driving and they're trying to take every mile of experience that the autonomous cars have, bring it together, apply the machine learning and big data algorithms that they need to apply so that you create effectively create an artificial intelligence or a driving engine that has the experience of every vehicle that's been on the road. And so every day you get smarter by the hundreds and hundreds of autonomous vehicles that are out there. It's just a tremendous amount of data. You're talking terabytes of data per day in a car sometimes that can come forward. So you need to be at the edge to gather that, maybe do some preliminary processing on it, and then feed it into some of the core engines.
And your keynote presentation at the Data Congress focused heavily on empowering the edge. Can you talk me through this?
Yeah, I think it's a big motto of ours is empowering the edge. And one of the key things we've found is the edge is actually defined as that logical demarcation point, the jumping off point from where a service is consumed and or created. And what that means is the same edge doesn't exist for all applications or all use cases, or in our case, for all customers. And so I think one of the key things you have to do with the edge is you have to bring the edge to your partner or to your customer so that their customer's experience can be optimized.
And what are some of the key trends you've witnessed in the industry as a whole, the edge industry?
A lot of people are talking about it. When we built our first edge data center in 2013, it was not in vogue. It was not even necessary, according to some people. Right now, there's a lot of folks that are talking about content and cloud at the edge. I think we have the good fortune of having delivered that. I think the other thing is people are trying to put too tight of a taxonomy or a definition of edge. What might be an edge for you would be different than an edge for me. And edge can be big in size or small in size. There are plenty of edge nodes that are multiple megawatts of capacity because it's the edge of that customer's service region, or it's where they need to be. So it's not one size fits all, and it's not necessarily one location fits all.
And what are some of the challenges of building and financing a data center?
Well, building, there's the usual challenges you get, which is the proper real estate with power and permitting and all the usual construction challenges you face there. But at the edge, you often have to operate autonomously. Some of these edges that are, a megawatt or less than a megawatt, or even 2 or 3 or 4 megawatts, don't necessarily stand up to any people, right? You have to be able to fully automate all operations from soup to nuts, and yet have on a single pane of glass a view of those operations, and frankly allow your customers to look across 50, 100, 200 sites as though it's one logical deployment as well. So a tremendous amount of automation is needed to pull off the edge.
How simple or complex is that?
That's complex. Data centers, for too long, people thought of data centers as islands, and they always had people at the core of what they were doing. I actually think what we found at EdgeConnects, we ended up having to put automation at the core, not people. Now, it turns out that has been important and has scaled up and appropriately, whether it be an edge site, a regional site, or even big core or hyperscale type sites. The more you can automate, the less problems you have in a facility. Humans still cause most of the problems in a data center.
And what is EdgeConnects' 2019/2020 strategy?
Well, we love hyper growth, and we're continuing to see it. We're fortunate to have an amazing set of customers who continue to want to go to new geographies, add to the existing facilities that they're in or campuses that they're on. We see new and even more complex and power intensive, compute intensive, and storage size deployments coming. We talked about gaming, we talked about autonomous vehicles and IoT. I think we haven't even begun the games around augmented reality and virtual reality, which have some of these same edge needs. I think you're going to see us continuing to execute hard in the hyperscale deployments, in new regional nodes that cloud and web scalers want to deploy, and we're going to continue to own the edge.
And tell me one thing about EdgeConnects that no one knows.
They know it if they dug through the website, but EdgeConnects has actually delivered, we have 40 data centers in 32 markets. That's in less than 6 years. We actually had to build our first 23 data centers in 24 months. Pretty spectacular. We're now operating in the US, Canada, Latin America, as well as a number of markets across Europe.
And what was the planning behind going into those markets?
We listen to our customer. It's as simple as that. We listen to our customer, we work with our customer, we partner with our customers.
And lastly, what sort of opportunities does the edge provide?
In my opinion, I think the edge is going to be the next frontier. I think we're still early in its evolution. We're seeing more and larger applications go there. I think you're going to see a lot of people wishing they started a number of years ago, and a lot of folks figuring out where their edge needs to be.
Thank you so much for talking to me today,
Thank you
Randy.
very much. Much appreciated.
Don't forget, you can follow Data Economy on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit us on our website at www.data-economy.com.